Good afternoon and welcome to the West Haymarket Joint Public Agency meeting for Thursday, July 25th, 2019. My name is Lyrian Gaylor-Baird, serving as the mayor of Lincoln, Nebraska, and to my left is my colleague, Councilwoman Tammy Ward, representing District 4. And we are going to need to make a motion to elect a chair for today only, but before we do that, let me mention that the open meetings law is posted in the back of the chambers. And because Regent Clare is absent, we're going to have a temporary election of a chair and wait for the full election when he returns. So if I could get a motion to elect a chair for today.
I move that Mayor Lyrian Gaylor-Baird is elected temporary chair of the JPA.
I'll second that motion. And if we could call the roll.
Gaylor-Baird?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Thank you. Just a little item of housekeeping that if anyone from the audience who would like to speak will be given a total of 5 minutes for a particular item on today's agenda. And if you could please identify yourself for the official record, we would appreciate it. Item 3 on the agenda is the election of board officers, and as I mentioned before, we're going to need to table this until our next meeting on August 22nd. So if I could get a motion to table the election of board officers.
So moved.
Second, and please call the roll.
Gaylor-Baird?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
And then we'd like to move on to an approval of the minutes from the previous JPA meeting held on June 27th, 2019.
I move the approval of the minutes from the June 27th JPA meeting.
I second that. Is there any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, I'll just add that since I was not present at the last meeting, my vote on this item will just be to allow the public record to be made. Please call the roll.
Gaylor-Baird?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Moving on to item 5, we have the payment register for June of 2019 and a review of expenditures from June of 2019. And our fearless finance director is here to handle this item. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Brandon Kaufman, finance director for the city and treasurer for the JPA. Before you have the payment register for June. It has total payments of operating expenditures, $8,932,503.86. I'll go over some of the highlights of that. There's a settlement to UNL that's based on our agreement of a net. There's 2 line items on there, but the net between the two is that we're paying UNL $8,948. There are interest payments from the bonds that were paid in June, $8,089,036. The arena maintenance and repair, which is reimbursement back to SMG for $35,131. That's basically to pay for repair of food and beverage type maintenance equipment that occurs at the arena. There's a distribution to the city for basically accounting legal support in the amount of $98,438. There's the fourth quarter distribution to the Pinnacle Bank Arena of $276,020, and that is from the IMG sponsorship revenue that comes to the JPA, and then we distribute that back to the arena operations. In addition, there's the fourth quarter operating increment of $150,000. This is our fourth payment, total $600,000 that we distribute back to the arena. $205,458 payment to the DEC, of which the JPA pays about 32% of that, and then we get paid back from customers for the remaining 68%. And then we also have a payment to the city of $52,992, and that's for the maintenance of the festival lot and also the arena drive maintenance. So all those, if there's any questions about that, I can pause.
Any questions?
Okay.
No, thank you.
All of those payments are included in the payment register. In addition, you have a couple other financial reports available in the packet. The first is the statement of revenues, expenditures, and fund balances for May 31st, June 2019 for the West Haymarket. that has total revenues of $25.9 million, expenditures of $25.5 million for a surplus of $384,000. That leaves us with an ending balance of $39.7 million. And then SMG also produces an income statement for the arena. That's included in your packet. Revenues of $4.6 million compared to expenditures of $4 million for a surplus of $534,000. And then they have retained earnings, which is kind of their fund balance that they hold. And that for May 31st was $758,000. As of June 30th, occupation taxes were up total 2.36%. So compared to the original projections of where we thought we'd be, that's 25% over the original projections, which kind of corresponds with the year 2030.
Okay.
With that, I'll stand for any questions.
I guess my question would just be, is any of this, is it all on track as far as you're concerned? Anything off track, any surprises, anything that's unexpected that you see in the financials for the month?
I don't think there's anything unexpected. We continue, basically we forecast a 2% increase in occupation taxes per year. So we're hitting that mark, which is really what we need to sustain long term as we progress closer to making the principal payments on the arena in 2021.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone from the public who'd like to comment on this item?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs of Lincoln Government, and I'd appreciate that the notes would show my title. The next ones did not. I don't know who's responsible for that, you or Jeff or...
Why don't you tell me exactly, if you want to write down exactly how you'd like your name listed, we can make sure that that's submitted to the official public record.
What?
If you'd like to list your name for us and leave it with Ms. Simonson before you go, we can make sure that it's entered as you would
It's
like.
back there.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a plan to continue to pay for the arena for all of its expenses? I mean, not expenses, but maintenance, which shows here and has on other payment registers.
I'll just say, since I'm new to chairing, if you could tell us all your questions, I'll have the finance
Okay.
director come up and answer them when you're done.
Okay.
If you could just make note of responses while she's using, I don't want to limit your 5 minutes. I want to make sure you get to use it. So go ahead, Ms. Kinsey.
Is that the plan, or do you know the plan, or because you pick up their bills like in the future agenda? There's requests that they're making, and you're paying the bills out of the JPA budget.
Yeah, and those are basically ongoing maintenance type items that we pay on a monthly basis back to the arena, and that's for equipment that essentially is owned by the JPA. You know, that goes to support elevator, escalator, maintenance, IT support, video boards, HVAC equipment. So there's just all of the maintenance of the equipment down at the arena.
So they're not paying that out of their income or their...
That's not paid out of their operations budget.
It isn't.
It is not.
Okay. And is the plan to continue to do that after you have to make the principal and interest payments?
Yes, that'll continue.
Okay. What kind of projection do you have then of the cost as far as what that remaining balance will be? I assume you understand and you know the amount you'll have to make in the first principal and interest. Okay.
Yep, that's all included in our forecast, and all the maintenance of items, including large capital repairs, are included in our long-term forecast for the arena.
Mm-hmm. And so the forecast shows that you'll be able to continue to pay that?
Yes.
Okay. And that's at the occupation tax?
Well, the JPA has a mix of revenues from occupation taxes, suite, sponsorship money, parking revenues. So there's a whole host of revenues that come to the JPA to support those types of operations.
Okay. So, well, I guess I can ask you for figures for that if I email you.
Okay, yep.
Okay. Because we don't want, the public doesn't want to be after picking up those bills out of taxes, other than the occupation tax.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to this item? All right. Seeing none, could I please get a motion to approve the payment register for June of 2019?
So moved.
Second. Please call the vote.
Gaylor Baird,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Item 6 is a resolution approving the customer energy service agreement with Canopy Park Condominium Association. Welcome, Mr. Connolly.
Thank you. Chris Connolly, Chief Assistant City Attorney. This agreement is the energy service agreement with Canopy Park, or otherwise known as Block 4. And the deal hasn't closed yet on the redevelopment side, but we're ready to go with the energy service agreement, so that's what we have for you today. The agreement is really a pretty standard agreement that we've entered into with all the other developments, and it will result in a net decline in the annual cost because as we add on more square footage to the West Haymarket area, it draws down the finance costs for the JPA, and that does get passed along to the customers. And so we're looking forward to having them come online. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to go over it with either one of you.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to speak to this item? Seeing none, could you please, I'd love a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved.
Second, any further discussion? I'll just say it's nice to see the vision of the DEC increasingly realized as more customers participate and help bring costs down for everyone involved. So thank you. And please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
All right, and then item 7 is a resolution approving the purchase of servers and software from the City of Lincoln Information Services Division with Pinnacle Bank Arena hardware and software upgrade project. And I believe we have Tom Lorenz here to speak on this item, or Mr. Connolly?
Okay. Chris Connolly, Chief Assistant City Attorney. These are servers and software that are needed at the arena, but they're actually being purchased from the city. The city has an agreement already set up, and so there's sort of a piggyback arrangement. Tom Lorenz would have to explain the exact number and size of the servers for those kinds of details. But this is something that's been anticipated for a while and has been budgeted. And so if you have questions for either one of us, we'll be happy to answer them.
Good afternoon, Tom Lorenz, Pinnacle Bank Arena with SMG. The servers that are running most of the systems within the building do go out of life at a certain time. It is something that happens with all pieces of software and hardware. So this is a replacement for those. It also is a new operating system which updates it to current operating systems. It allows us to continue to get updates and security updates from the companies. Five Nines will help us install these things. It's all the licensing and all the different pieces that go with that. Again, this is an anticipated projection of expenditure for these things. It's put in the line items for the CIP, and we've gone through all the bidding process, and we feel good about where it's at.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the gentleman? Go ahead.
Just curious, is this the first time that you've had to replace them in the life of the arena?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and we'll be 6 years open to the public in September, so it is not unusual that some of these
Right.
things will start to go out of life at this point.
Of course, great.
One of the things we'll look forward to next is we're starting to see some of the switches go out of life, so we'll continue to work through that, and through the planning they have put in CIP adequate funds for us to do those things.
Great, great. Thank you very much. Thank you both.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this item? Item 7, the WH19-19 resolution.
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Were there other bids for this?
My understanding of the arrangement on this, and Mr. Walla is not here, is that this is through an agreement with the city. The city had put out a bid to buy a number of servers, and we are buying, the JPA is going to buy some of those from the city. So the JPA didn't do the bid, but the city did.
Okay, and, but it's coming out of the JPA budget?
For the servers that will come to the JPA, yes, those will be paid out of the
Okay.
JPA budget.
Is this a new contract?
Say a new contract. Yes, I guess it is, because it's we have not replaced these, and I don't know if this is the original supplier. This wouldn't have been the original supplier of the servers, and so to that extent, I guess it is a new contract.
For a year?
Well, no, it won't take that long to install these. We're buying the equipment. They're expected to last another 5 or 6 years, and there'll be a separate contract for the installation. That's what's coming up next.
So you're buying it for the arena,
Correct.
and it's coming out of the JPA budget
Correct.
for just a limited number of
Servers
servers?
and software.
Okay. And how long are they expected to last?
Oh, probably 5 to 6 years.
Okay. And so, is this usual?
Yeah, I would say that this is normal, that this kind of equipment only lasts so long and wears out, just like any other piece of equipment, and so it needs to be replaced and updated. The software needs to be updated. Software depends on the nature of the software, but it's not unusual for software to need an upgrade at this point in time.
Okay. So this is replacement for the original of the
Correct.
6 years?
Correct. This is not adding new.
Okay, thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak to this item? Okay, seeing no other interested parties, can I get a motion to approve the resolution WH19-19?
So moved.
Second, any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Item 8 is a resolution WH19-20 approving an amendment to the contract for information tech services at Pinnacle Bank Arena between Five Nines Technology Group and the JPA for the arena hardware and software upgrade project for an additional amount not to exceed $26,000 and for a total new contract amount of $82,292. I imagine this is a related item. Do you want to just clarify what the additional resolution is for, Mr. Lorenz?
Tom Lorenz, yeah, we have a contract with Five Nines for them to do our regular IT work and maintenance. They continue to oversee the systems. They're the ones that we call if there's any issues. And so that set amount per year doesn't cover the installation that'll take for the setting up of the new servers and installation. So the additional amount covers that installation. It would be as if we had bid the whole project with hardware and installation, you'd have seen it on that side, but because we already have a contractor to do that, we're expanding their contract to do the installation.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Would anyone like to speak to this item?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. And is there a bid on this from other companies?
Chris Connolly again. The answer is no. This is a contract that's already in place, and so this is just an expansion of what they're already doing for us.
And it's not necessary to have a bid?
Nope.
And how long does this contract last?
Throughout the installation. Well,
Well, there's a longer contract, but this part of it will only be for however long it takes to actually install the hardware and software, a couple months or so,
Which is how long?
about 2 months.
2 months, okay. So they're making $50,000 for 2 months' work?
There's a lot of work in that 2-month period.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of connections, a lot of servers to install.
And actually, this is 26,000, just as a correction. It's not to exceed 26,000 for the installation, according to the agenda.
So what, 50? What are you saying?
If you look at number
26.
8, yeah,
Mm-hmm, 26 from 82, or what is it?
no, it's for an additional expenditure of 26,000. In addition to what's already there, and so there will be a new contract amount of 82,000.
So the original will be 82 minus 26?
Correct. That's what it was originally.
Okay, so that's, what, 50 something for 2 months' work?
No. The original contract is an annual agreement that we have with Five Nines, and that's 56,000 or whatever it is. And in addition to that, for this year, for 26,000 for 2 months worth of work, in doing a lot of installation work, a lot of labor, yes, they're going to get paid an additional 26,000.
Mm-hmm. And who would have what the labor is?
Well, that's what the labor is, the 26,000.
Yeah, but the breakdown of the labor, who would have that?
When you say breakdown, what do you mean?
Well, if you wanted to look at so much labor for this and so much labor for that.
That probably won't come in, and if it's broken down at all, until we get the invoices from the contractor.
Okay. And so you're estimating that amount?
Well, it's an amount not to exceed 26,000, so it could actually be less.
Okay. And that, again, it come out of the JPA budget?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Not the city?
That's correct. We are paying, no, this one does not, this money does not go to the city. This money will go to Five Nines. And the other one, the money goes to the city.
Okay. And I think they had a few months ago, they had a year contract, right?
Five Nines?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think you
yes.
renewed that. So, in that contract, does it say they can upgrade for more and that kind of thing?
No, we can just amend the agreement, though. The parties can agree to do that. It's a professional service, so we can
Okay.
do it that way.
But there's no bidding for it?
Not as a professional service agreement, we're not required to bid.
Okay. Not at all?
We're not required to. We do sometimes, but in this one, it didn't make sense.
Okay. We would feel that needs to be done. There needs to be bids because we don't believe that the taxpayers' money is being used carefully if there are not bids for professional services or whatever you want to call it. So that's where we stand.
Okay. Would anyone else like to testify on this item? Seeing none, could I please have a motion to approve West Haymarket 19-20 resolution to amend the contract for IT services?
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? All right, please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Okay, item 9, West Haymarket Resolution 19-21 to approve an agreement for professional services with Olson, Inc. I think they're just Olson now. Olson for Project Oscar 2.0 streetscape improvements for an amount not to exceed $18,100. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Adam Hobel-Heinrich, PC Sports. WH 19-21 is related to some streetscape design and park along Oscar 2.0 that was done as part of the agreement with that development and land purchase. And also some parking adjustments the JPA needs to make in order to accommodate BNSF for the future, now that we know the full development both north and south of the Harris Overpass. The JPA has a requirement to provide 75 parking stalls to the BNSF as part of the original agreement. So this is to design those accommodations as well as work in the streetscape along Oscar 2.0. We're doing it our city procurement for professional services, and then West Haymarket agreement for professional services agreement, and also it is an hourly not to exceed contract with them, so we could end up under, depending on how the design goes.
Any questions? A quick question.
Yep.
To what extent are you coordinating these streetscape improvements with others planned in surrounding areas? I know there are a lot of different initiatives and projects associated with different redevelopment
So
initiatives.
Yeah, sure. So the good thing about West Haymarket, it has a standard, and so we are now applying that standard and requiring, especially urban development is requiring that standard when developments happen down in the West Haymarket area. So the streetscape design of Oscar 2.0 is going to be very similar to what you see down there already.
And you mentioned a number of parking stalls that have to be accommodated. Will this achieve that full amount, or is this adding to a group of stalls that achieve that amount?
Yeah, it actually will add a few additional stalls that will be available to, I guess, the JPA to figure out how to handle the additional stalls, whether it's the city taking over management of those stalls or provided for some other reason. But it is more than 75 stalls, and there's also a couple additional stalls required as part of the redevelopment agreement on Oscar.
So this resolution will bring to life 75 plus new stalls? Is that correct? Am I understanding
We just
correctly?
haven't marked them out underneath the overpass and gotten them like BNSF a specific area. We need to do that now that we know both north and south what's going to be happening. And the area has always been planned, that's where BNSF would go because of the difference between surface parking and garage parking costs. But we have to provide 75 stalls within 500 feet of the train station where their office is.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Would anyone like to speak to this item?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. Again, professional services requiring no bid. Olson's been in it. PC Sports has been in it. It's a good old boy system. It is not in the interest of the taxpayers. They need some protection and some way that lower charges may be made. You may have, I don't know of any kind of a contract that doesn't have some kind of change to show that a lower bid can be maintained. How can you run a system like that? And it was in the paper that the city is going to have to borrow money from savings in order to meet their budget. So the finance office from the JPA states that they don't have any financial worries, but the public needs to have that confidence. And now's the time that a change can be made, because you as a new mayor and a new board can do that. So we would request that it would be looked into. And, this sort of reiterates the fact that Watchdogs believes there needs to be an audit to show that the taxpayers are being protected and that their money is being used well and judiciously.
Thank you. Any further comment on this item? All right, seeing none, could I please get a motion on item 10, West Haymarket Resolution 19-22?
So
I mean,
moved.
sorry, 19-21, my apologies.
I'm sorry. So moved.
Second, any further discussion? I will just point out this contract is for $18,000 or $18,100 and is achieving quite an increase in the amount of parking in the area, which helps support businesses and the public. So this provided a significant public value. Please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Ward?
Yes.
Right. Item 10 is a resolution, West Haymarket Resolution 19-22, to approve a price quote with Ghana Trucking and Excavating to place rock on property located at 715 South 7th Street for an amount not to exceed $33,532. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Caleb Swanson with PC Sports. This is a unit price contract with Ghana Trucking to, as you said, to rock the lot that was formerly occupied by the Jacobson Cold Storage facility. Just as a quick recap, the JPA earlier this year purchased that property and then subsequently demolished that building in advance of future development to the south of N Street, adjacent to the Block 5 parcel. So at this point in time, looking towards both immediate and future development south of the Harris Overpass, space is becoming kind of a premium. So this will allow this lot to be used as a kind of multi-purpose parking and construction staging area, as a lot of those areas are now becoming redevelopment parcels in and of themselves. City Parking has also identified this as a lot that during weekends in the fall they will be able to utilize this as additional overflow football parking as well and generate some additional revenue off of that lot. So this bid was procured through city purchasing unit price policies and procedures. Ghana was the low responsible bidder, and so we're recommending approval of that contract.
Thank you. Any questions
No,
for
thank
Mr.
you.
Swanson? Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to speak to this item?
Jane Kinsey with Watchdogs. So this was through the city purchasing with bids?
This was through city
For-
purchasing. They have a list of vendors who have registered, so to speak, to provide unit price services for certain types of construction. And so all the vendors on this list for demolition and grading services were alerted and requested to bid, and Ghana was the low respondent.
The lowest, okay. Have they done work before?
For the JPA,
Yeah.
I can't give you a direct list, but yes, Ghana has been involved in the West Haymarket on other projects.
What was that?
They have been involved in the past.
Oh.
I don't have a list of contracts that they have held with the JPA,
Okay.
but they have done. They're a registered vendor with the city. They've done work for the city,
Okay.
as well as the JPA.
Did you have anything to do with the choice?
Other than requesting the bids and then getting the bids back, and then it goes to the lowest. Unless there's a concern with the lowest bid, it goes to the lowest
Okay.
bid. In this case,
So
Ghana was
city
the lowest.
purchasing basically handled it for you?
City purchasing outlines the policies that are followed and the procedures to use a unit price contract for city departments to follow and to kind of manage for certain size limits of bids. And this falls in what's called a tier 3, 50,000 and below. And so that what city purchasing says is here are the policies that you need to follow. Here's the list of vendors that are signed up and registered for this. And then city departments are allowed to then go out and request those quotes directly and then report those results to city purchasing.
Okay.
And so that's the policy that was followed.
So basically, they do the legwork, but then you make the choice, is that it?
It allows for city departments to, yes, do a lot of like those smaller type projects that otherwise might overwhelm, I guess, city purchasing staff in and of themselves. It allows them to set the framework and the rules in which those smaller projects can be procured, and then it allows city departments to go directly request those bids. They do then have to report all of those results to city purchasing, and then they track and review all of those results to make sure that those policies are being followed.
But they recommend to you, or you make the
The
choice?
city department makes the recommendation. for the
Recommendation to
award.
you, okay. So,
In this case, the JPA.
and then you approve the recommendation?
But in this case, the board will accept the recommendation.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Caleb.
Would anyone else like to testify on this item? All right, seeing none, could I please get a motion to approve Resolution 19-22?
So moved.
Second, any discussion? All right, let's rock the lot. Please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
All right, and our second to last item is just to announce that the next meeting of the West Haymarket JPA Board will be Thursday, August 22nd, 2019 at 2:30 here in these chambers in the City County Building. And with that, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second that. Please call the roll.
Gaylor Baird,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
All right, I don't have a mallet, but if I did, I would hit it and say we are adjourned.